And that's us live. Easy as that, eh?
Lovely, isn't it? Modern technology. It's fantastic.
When did you get in touch with me about doing this live chat? It was about 6:45.
Yeah, it wasn't long ago, was it? It was.
Yeah.
I just thought we should just do this now. We do plenty of Berwick stuff. We should really get, you know, we talk about the bandits, we talk about the bullets, and we've got our own whiz kid, Leon Flint, riding at Cardiff this weekend. So, I mean, it doesn't get much bigger than that. I can't remember the last time we, or if we've ever had, a Berwick-born rider. We've not, have we? We've not had a Berwick-born rider at Cardiff before, have we? So it's a perfect time to do something. And if you don't mind, I am going to put my sunglasses on because I've got a terrible sore head with the sun. And I'm just saying, I've got quite a lot of sun here tonight. It's I'm in a lovely part of the world at the moment.
Go on, tell us where you are.
I'm actually at Port Isaac, which is where they film. I'm in the pub where they film Doc Martin.
Right.
So and I'll just let you see the scenery behind me there. That's not a green screen. This is where I've been sitting all afternoon, and it is it's pretty special. We've been here a little bit too long, actually.
Well,
you may figure that out later on.
As you can see, I've got a green screen as well. It's my sister's front garden. I'm down in Devon for a wedding.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I'm not going to be able to make it to Cardiff. I was at Birmingham last night. That was good fun. That was good fun.
And talk us through that, Paul. How do you think the meeting went there at Cardiff? Sorry, at Birmingham.
Once the first 4 heats are done and over with, we absolutely hammered Birmingham, but the damage had been done. Luckily, we managed to pull it back to just a 6-point defeat, so we end up with 1 point. But no, Chris Harris second in his first race, and after that unbeaten. 2 wins for Leon, and who else got a first place? I think it was Jai, wasn't it? Jai got a first place. Ricky, I think, just got two twos. Theo got a 2 and a 1. Sadly at reserve, as you can imagine. Tough going when you. I mean, Lee Complin, excellent for Birmingham. Yeah, excellent everywhere he goes. Is Lee Complin? You know, he's worth watching alone, isn't he? For his
that's the thing. Lee, he's a good friend of mine, and he's you know, he's not out there to just, you know, go out there, and if he doesn't make the gate, it's not a case of I've missed the gate, I'm not going to bother my arse here. Lee will go out and he will give it 110% as much as he can. So it's a good thing that you know, he's getting as many bookings as he is, and I know from speaking to him that he's you know, from all the weightlifting he was doing previous to coming back to Speedway, he's lost a hell of a lot of weight. So I mean, I think this year has been his warm-up year. I think he's gonna certainly next year he'll thrive in it. He's been talking to me, his equipment's getting a lot better. So I just I think the future's bright for Lee. You know, this comeback, I think it's going to be a good one, and I'm looking forward to seeing what happens. And another thing I'm looking forward to is actually getting to race beside him, because we've not done that yet.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, I suppose it would be fair to say that of us in our little group chat, there's a mix of opinion. I wouldn't be at all surprised if the promotion don't decide to bring Lee Complin back in next year at Berwick.
Hold on, sorry, something beautiful has just arrived. I'm not talking about Sarah Tumble.
Yes. It's, you are talking about Sarah and what she's got in her hand.
Yes, exactly. 2 beautiful things coming at the same time. I'll just leave that there. If anyone's watching this at high speed later on, they can see that just drop down pretty quick. Listen.
Somebody of your class, you're deserving of all the perks you can get.
Well, I need it after that from Tuesday night.
Right, tell us about Tuesday night.
Tuesday night down at Plymouth. Myself personally, I've not been at Plymouth since probably about 2009. And a little interesting fact for you is the last time I was at Plymouth, I was actually racing beside Jamie Courtney. So, it just shows how long ago that was. We've the score line, we won by a point.
Yep.
But I would say that we were better than that. No
Yes.
disrespect to the Plymouth team, they did have they had Adam Roynan in, and they had Ben Morley, which was better than what they had at home. Again, no respect to anyone else. What they had when they went away to Berwick, struggling with guests. But the referee, obviously my opinion's on my own. The referee was shocking. The referee was terrible. I've never ever in my life seen a rider who left the pits to go to the tapes. 2 minutes to come on. Theo Piper turns round to me as he said to me, "The lad in blue or red, I can't remember. I think it was blue. Doesn't have his rear chain guard on. The chain and the sprocket is exposed on the back end of the bike." He got to the starting tapes, and the start marshal pointed out he didn't have the cover over the chain guard, and the referee gave him another 2 minutes to get that replaced, which is, which I think is ridiculous. The other incident, which I'm not just saying this because I was involved in it, coming off the second bend, me and Adam Roynan got a bit of lift. Both of us lifted at the same time. I managed to get into the corner and turn the bike, and then ended up falling off because Roynan's front wheel hit my back wheel, which caused me to crash. I was the rider that was in front. In my opinion, even watching it back, not saying that was me or my teammates or anything, if I was a referee, I would have excluded Adam Roynan from that. But the fact that the referee didn't just exclude Adam from it, he also excluded me from it, which I found to be...
How can you both be at fault and be excluded? Because you knocked him off and he knocked you off. It's a bizarre one.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's kind of like, I don't know which one I'll exclude. You always see it in the Grand Prix, when back in the day when Kelvin and the late Nigel Pearson were on, and he says, "I wouldn't like to be the referee here, he's got a tough decision." It seemed this referee had a tough decision, he just decided to exclude us both. So it was a bit silly, and I protested against that, but you can protest against the referee, it never changes their mind.
I know. How did you get your nasty gash in your elbow?
That was from the crash with Adam. Basically, what happened there is it's a burn, so there's not a hole in the Kevlar, but as you're sliding along, obviously friction, whatever science stuff happens, it burnt a hole in my arm. It's quite often that happens there, and it's very common for that to happen in speed riders' arse cheek. If speed riders, the left arse cheek is usually not very pretty to look at because it's had wound upon wound upon wound of that happening quite often. And I can tell you now, anyone who's ridden a speedway before or been married or a girlfriend to a speedway rider, they will tell you that the bed sheets in the morning is the worst thing, because trying to peel the bed sheets off that wound is hellish. Whereas I'm lucky in the sense that I got that sunburnt yesterday, so I've not been able to. It's not started weeping, which I'm lucky about. It's still bloody agony, but they're nasty. They are nasty little injuries to pick up on.
Anyway, we've got somebody waiting backstage, and he's a busy man, so we better not keep him waiting on it any longer. Would you like to introduce him?
Well, we've got a young Berwick lad coming on here, and when I say young, I don't mean Gary Flint. I would like to say that it was his son, Leon. And welcome Leon to the show.
Hello.
There he is, Leon. How you doing, Leon? So, the signal is absolutely terrible, and I knew this was going to happen. So we'll quickly try and get through this. It's a little bit better now, yeah. It's a little bit better now. So Leon, without trying to, you already know this is going on. This is the biggest weekend of your life. Forget Speedway or anything. This is the biggest weekend that you'll ever see. How are you feeling about it, or is that a silly question to ask? You can't tell me Leon Flint's lost for words.
He obviously is.
No, we're not getting a thing off him. Knew that was going to happen. I think that's a fair enough question to ask him. He knows what's coming. The whole of the world of Speedway is going to be watching him, not just Derek.
And Wolves. Let's just can we go back then to Plymouth was on the Tuesday.
Yeah.
What about the Wolves on the Monday?
Yeah, I was at that meeting, and I have to say, yeah, I was there. Got a good chat with Sam Masters there as well. He's hoping to be back shortly. He's shoulder injuries and everything else like that, but he's had some surgery on it. He's hoping to be back in the near future. And the laugh that we did have with Sam is that if Sam hadn't been injured, Leon would have got his first paid maximum in the Premiership, but because he had to take the RR ride for Sam, he got a big fat nothing. But the rest of the meeting, Leon was on fire, and it was good to see the way he was riding. He was trying out a new engine, which he had rode at Derek, and the engine was, it was a pretty powerful thing. Didn't know how it was going to run at Wolverhampton, with the track's being so different, but he rode it, and it was good. And also we had our own Chris Harris was there as well, and Bomber was just immaculate. To watch him ride a bike, it's poetry in motion. He's fantastic. The way he's coming at them corners, he's reversing, going in, so he gets that Carlton corridor coming off. It's brilliant to watch. A spectacle for any Speedway fan to see. You can watch these lads. I don't agree with it. I think the Polish leagues and watching Polish leagues is awful because it's gate and go and they're that slick and it's rubbish. I mean, the Poles love it and they pay the money for it, but to watch someone like Chris Harris going around the tight circuit of Wolverhampton with the throttle control and positioning the bike and where to go and everything else like that, it is, like I said, it's poetry in motion. It was fantastic to watch, and I think we need to see more of that in World Speedway, just not these big tracks.
Well, I would just sort of exercise this particular question, and that is that when it comes to Speedway, the number one most exciting thing about Speedway is when you've got close action. It doesn't matter if it's at GP level or which it often is. You get close action. There's been some fantastic finals. Chris Harris himself, when he won the Cardiff round, fantastic action. There's been other examples. Somebody posted, Jason Doyle getting the better of Tai Whidden in, I think, was it 2017 or something like that, And there's been some fantastic racing at that level, but you get fantastic racing at all level. And if anybody was at Plymouth on Tuesday night to see the Bullets, they would have been very well entertained. And I would just point out that, I was so shocked when I went to Mildenhall the first time. I've only been once, but the first time I went there, the crowd. They're getting as much as some of the what we would call the
well-established Speedway team. Yeah.
We're in the Championship, and obviously you've got the Premiership, but and people would say, well, that's the third tier of Speedway. I'll tell you what, it's a bloody good tier of Speedway.
No, you're right enough. And I mean, the only thing I would say is about the Plymouth meeting, especially, is that for me, I didn't see that much overtaking at the Plymouth meeting. I tried my best to watch all the races. I didn't have a mechanic with me. I did have Leon with me, who was mechanicking, who done a bloody good job, because he wasn't just spanning for me. He was helping out Crangy. He was helping out Mason. He was a very, very busy lad that night. And when you're mechanicking for the number 3, 4, and 5, you're a busy man. the racing, the actual racing itself at Plymouth wasn't very good. It was white line and that was it. Nobody was passing the outside. There was nobody doing dive bombs because there was no room to do any dive bombs. But the fact the score line kept swapping all the way through made the meeting a little bit more entertainment. I'm like, again, I'm saying this as myself, not from Berwick Speedway or anything else. The referee was shit, who also made the meeting a little bit more entertaining because the decisions were crazy. You know, you had fans booing, fans cheering just because the referee made these stupid decisions. I mean, for instance, Sarah, who travelled down with me to watch these, she's only been going to Speedway since this season, since it started, and she was dumbfounded about some of the decisions that were made. Kyle Bickley made an absolute perfect start and was excluded from was put off 15. And I have watched that. I've watched that replay back so many times. And the reason that Kyle was put off 15 for people who hadn't seen it is because he got a warning earlier on in the meeting. Mm-hmm. Now, they said that Kyle was moving at the start. Kyle wasn't moving at the start. He just made a good gate, but the referee penalised him for it. I mean, you know, you're kind of denying fans of good racing. At the same time, you are given that entertainment factor of being able to boo the referee, because everyone loves to hate the referee. So it's a funny one. It's a funny one. It's annoying when you're supporting a club, but it's also quite funny. It's also quite good when you're wanting entertainment value. A rubbish referee can make a meeting quite entertaining. But that's enough said on that, because I'll probably get another email.
Well, I finally got around to doing that Berwick track walk from the point of view of the supporters. And when I focused on the referee's box, I mentioned about the fact that a former great entertainer, not unlike yourself, a certain Cozza Smith, used to make regular excursions from the pits to the referee's box to tell the four-eyed git that he'd got it wrong. And I wasn't referring to Dennis or Stevie or Lawrence Heppel.
Yeah, exactly. No. And the only thing that I have a massive thing about, I've said this for long enough now, is the fact that I could very well be fined after Tuesday.
Yeah.
I could very well be fined for what happened on Tuesday, due to the adrenaline's going. You get quite excitable, and you're passionate about your racing. I think that there'd be something wrong with me if I walked back to the pits and went, "Oh well, I've been excluded." I was riled up about it. But if the fact that they're fining the riders so heavily, especially at the league we're riding in, we're not making that much money. You get fined. It's not on, and at the end of the day, it's a show. What we're doing is we're putting on a show, and we should, we should be applauded for it. We've talked about this in the past about, riders having fisticuffs and everything else like that, and they get fined so heavy. Paul Bowen was on here not long ago, and he was talking about how the Cy Footenup and Nichols were heavily fined into the thousands of pounds for their fight they had at Cardiff.
Yeah.
But yet they use that as promotional for their videos to advertise Cardiff, which I find insane. So if they dropped that, we don't fight that much as speed riders. There's not a point comes where you're like, I'm not going to hit that guy, or I'm not going to swear at the referee because I'll get fined. We do it anyway because the adrenaline's there. They want to drop the fines. The fighting will not come up. The fans enjoy it. Just give over. Give over. Let us have a bit of scrap now and again. The fans love it, and it's what it's all about.
Well, at certain levels, when there's cameras there, the referee can wait for a replay, can't they? If it's being covered live, they can wait for the replay at whatever channel it's on and watch it live. And if you've got that technology to do that, why not do that? Every Plymouth meeting is televised. Excellent camera work. Berwick is always televised. I'm sure I don't know if Graham would thank me for this, but I'm sure it's possible to put in a camera for the referee to look at.
I think, Paul, I think as the future goes on, I think that will be an option, and I do think the same as what happens in football now. I'm not a big football supporter, so I don't know about the VAR thing. I think in Speedway that'll happen. You know, it does already happen in the top leagues and the Grand Prix where the referee gets the chance to look back at the replays. I think that will come in with the Premiership if it's not already happening. The Championship and the National Development League. I think that will have to come in because sometimes, me myself, I've been involved in Speedway all my life. Paul, the same with you. You watch Speedway all the time. You'll see something happen, and you'll go, "Oh, he's at fault," and then you see a replay back, and you'll go, "Oh, actually, I was in the wrong."
Yep.
And I think that needs to happen because a snap decision is wrong. I think that a replay of all different angles needs to be looked at, and it just makes the meeting a little bit fairer. Sometimes you got luck on your side. I mean, when you say you got luck on your side, we had luck on our side. We would have lost that meeting on Tuesday night. There was a 5-1 going against us, and the lad that was in the lead slid off, which ended up being a 3-3. So that's in my opinion, that's what you call luck. But accidents happening and getting excluded when it's not actually your fault, that's not luck on either side. That's robbery in my opinion. But I could talk about this all day and we would never get anywhere because they don't listen to the small fish like me.
Well, it just raises the question then: what is the point of the riders being able to phone the referee to discuss what's happened? Because it seems to me as if the referee's once he's made up his mind, he's not going to change it. I can only think of one example ever.
I think it's the same one that I'm thinking of.
Well, it was Alan Mogridge, probably before
one.
your time. Yeah, long time ago. I read about it in the season of '88. Somebody was excluded, and Alan actually got on the phone to the referee and said, "No, you want to change that. It should be all 4 back because the guy never touched me." Well, of course, the guy immediately then did exactly the same thing on the same bend, excluded. But sorry, you go on and tell me about another one where the referee changed his mind. But as I say, that was because of a rider actually getting an opposition rider back in. But there's not many.
Mine was. I think mine was the British Grand Prix when it was at Cardiff, and it was when I'm sure they saw a light. The referee had left a light on or something like that. Right. The referee had left the light on, and they excluded Thomas Golub.
Yeah.
For and they were going to restart the race because Golub had seen this light and pulled up.
Yeah.
And they were going to restart the race, and Jason Crump went to and said, "No, we'll not be restarting the race. That was his own fault." And I do have an issue with people who say, "I've seen a red light." I've seen red lights as a racer before. I've seen red lights in the crowd, and it doesn't take very long to just have your eyes from there to there to see if a red flag's come out. So Scott Nichols in the 2004 World Cup pulled up because he said he saw a red light on the straight, which eventually lost us the World Champion, the World Cup that year. Scott Nichols pulled up because he saw a red light. Now, everybody watching this has been in a car at some point. You look at the right-hand side and look at the left-hand side. How long does that take you to do that? It's like that. It's very quick. And that's what I do. If I think I've seen a red light, I will just glance over to the left. And if a red flag, even if it's getting rolled out, you know that the race is going to be stopped. So that doesn't sit with me. With people saying they've seen something in the crowd, usually they're at the back, or there's something going on. I don't buy it at all.
Yeah.
But it's a good excuse. I will use that one day as an excuse. I take it we're not going to be getting Leon back at all.
It doesn't look like it. I mean, I can only presume he seemed to be in a van travelling somewhere, and
he's probably travelling to Cardiff. If I'm, I would say I don't think he's got any other things on this weekend. Probably just Cardiff. But I know after speaking to Leon and I don't know how much chat he's going to have with the public. You know, he's maybe got a Facebook post or not or whatever. But on behalf of him, after speaking to him on Tuesday night, because he was helping me out at Plymouth, he's honoured for this. The fact that there's Kvetch has been injured in the under-21 meeting, which has brought Brennan on into the main meeting, which is taking Leon from reserve to wildcard, is a massive thing for Leon. He's actually in the main meeting now as wildcard. He's second reserve at Cardiff, but you know the bikes will be warmed up for that meeting, but he still will get to run out in front of the packed stadium at the Principality, holding that Union Jack. And I think that for the age that Leon's at, I think that'll stay with him forever.
But Leon's
I know personally, if I was Leon and I ran out there, I would be struggling to hold tears back, because being in, you know, to run out in front of a packed stadium, to see all them Union Jacks waving and the crowds blowing their horns and screaming and cheering, and I know I certainly will be. I'll be standing up there and I'll be going off my head when Leon runs out as a second reserve at that meeting. It's for the age that he's at. I think it's fantastic for him, and I'm very proud to call him a mate as well, to see your pal doing that. And again, the under-21s, the SGP2 on the Sunday, as soon as I found out that he was going to be into that meeting, we kind of rearranged plans to go to that to watch him, because again, it's a great thing for him to be involved in. You know, that's the closest you'll get to proper Grand Prix Speedway is the under-21s, and I think Discovery have done an absolute fantastic job of doing this to bring these youngsters on, so they get a taste of what it's like to be at that world level. So of course, while I'm there, I'm going to support them, and I would imagine there's many Berwick supporters, Wolverhampton supporters as well, are going to be there to cheer the lad on. He's a knob, but he's a good lad as well.
Do you know what? Prediction? I think he'll just take it in his stride. And I tell you what, the rest of the field better watch out, because a fired up Leon Flint is capable of going through that card.
Oh, Leon's got something that a lot of riders don't have, and he's got talent, but he's also got passion. You get many riders who are talented motorcycle riders who have come to Speedway and taken it on, you know, whether it's motocross or whatever else like that. You know, you get a lot of talented motocross riders who've taken on Speedway, and they're good at it because they're good at motorbikes. Leon is a talented motorcycle rider, but he's got a lot of passion for the sport as well, and that's something that is magic to see. So yeah, I would, you know, if Leon has a terrible night an afternoon, if Leon has a terrible Sunday afternoon, at least he's had a shot and he's buzzed around Cardiff. It's more than what most people have. If he has a great night, then I'll have to speak to Red Campers and tell them that I'll be a little bit late and I might not be making work when I told them I was going to be back, because I'll be celebrating a little bit harder.
Well, I was going to say it wouldn't be the first time for a wild car, as it were, to then spoil everybody's party, as it were, with the top riders. Martin Dugard.
Can you remember the last wild card that spoiled the party?
Well, I'm going to say I remember Martin Dugard back in Coventry, but there must be somebody else since then.
Oh, it's a little bit more recent than that. I think he's won a couple of world titles. I might be wrong. I might get shot down. And I think James Black might know that. Oh, balls off. James Black, if you're watching this, I'm pretty sure, I'm not sure, did Smarslick not win in 2018, I would like to say? I'm not sure. Anyway, while Paul's not on, no, he's not on, let's let you see, this is where I am just, this is ad-libbing at its best. This is for the film Doc Martin, and up there is Doc Martin's house. Now it's just There, that is Doc Martin's house. And we were told earlier that that house is for sale for, what is it, 1.2 million? And it's not even the biggest house here. So it's a bloody lovely bit of scenery that we're at the moment. And I'm properly on my own now. Oh, God, how nervous is this? But I hope everyone we'll wrap it up from here. I hope everyone has a great weekend. If you're going to Cardiff or not, if you're sitting at home watching it on telly, order a takeaway, take your telly out into the garden, get an extension lead, plug it in. I'm sure you can work that out, or go to a pub and just a man say, right, Cardiff's on, put it on the telly. Wherever you're going this weekend, I hope you enjoy it, because this truly is British Speedway's Christmas, and I hope we all have a great time, and who knows, we might see a British winner. I was going to ask Paul who his money was on for it, but Paul's fallen down the stairs because he's too drunk. I'm going to put it out there, and I'm going to say that my favourite for the meeting is Dan Bewley. I think that Dan Bewley's going to make the final. Don't know if he's going to win it, but oh no, Paul's back. Here we go. I'll ask him because he's maybe not seen it. Paul, how are you doing? He's appeared again.
I went to all the trouble, connected up all the electronics so that the battery wouldn't go out on the computer. Lo and behold, poof.
It's time.
So I do apologise for that. That was
no, it's all right, Paul. No, Paul. What I was going to ask you, I've just gave my prediction. You've not seen it yet, obviously, because you've been offline.
Yep.
Your predictions for Cardiff for the SGP. Yeah, I said that right. The Speedway Grand Prix on the Saturday.
For the Saturday.
The final. For the final. Give me a prediction. Do you think we'll see a Brit in the final, and which one will it be?
It'll be all three Brits in the final again. I think they
four.
Nearly
there's four Brits. There's four Brits this year.
That's
you said three.
Yep. Okay, so I'm going to go. Of course there is, because there's Adam Ellis, there's Dan Bewley, there's some fellow
Robert Lambert and Tai Whidden.
And there's
anybody, I'll pull you out the hole there.
And then there's Rob Ruffenden's son. What's his name again? Oh, I keep forgetting his name. The Berwick
that laddie that
Rob Ruffenden. You remember him? I remember Rob Ruffenden.
Tai, that's it.
Aye, that's it, something like that. Yeah, he buggered off back to Australia or something and took the laddie with him. That's him, yeah.
Let us know. No, I've already stated this when you were when you went when you disappeared there. I've got I don't know why, but it's been in. I've felt it since the last Grand Prix I watched, which was a rain-off at Berwick against Leicester, and I was standing with David Howe and SF Raceware's Malcolm Hogg, and all three of us, just watching the way Dan Bewley rides. I think Dan Bewley's going to make the final. I think Dan Bewley's going to make the podium, and I don't know where, but that's what I think. And I can tell anyone watching this, I will be putting money on Dan Bewley to make the final.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I would always put, as you say, money on all four of them, and it would be a case of which order. I suppose by seniority, you'd have to say Tai, Robert Lambert, Dan Bewley, Adam Ellis. Adam's an interesting character because, a lot of people were against him going through to the final, but the fact of the matter remains that, they were damned if they did and they damned if they didn't. He was the holder. It's so difficult. It's really tough on Chris Harris. Really tough on him because he would.
I mean, I listened to the podcast on the way back from Bellevue the other week with my dad, and they had Rob Godfrey on, and Rob said we just went with the fact that the meeting was cancelled. Adam Ellis was last year's British champion. He never got to go to Cardiff. It looked like a pretty sensible idea, Let's just give him the wild card for it because he's already earned his wild card. That's always what it's been in the British final. Whoever wins the British final gets to go to Cardiff, or second if the winner isn't already in the Grand Prix series. Blah blah blah. You ask, in my opinion, you ask anybody who has no idea about Speedway. If you give them the layout of it, say this, say that, this is how it goes, and people would say, "Oh yeah, fair enough." But I think if they gave Chris Harris the wild card, people would still complain, saying, "What about Adam Ellis? He's still the bit." So it was difficult. Either way, it wasn't gonna work for everybody. But in my personal opinion, in the years I've followed Speedway, it was the right decision, and I'll argue with anybody if they say that I'm in the wrong, because I 100% back what the powers that be did. So there you go. And if you do want to argue with me, tap me on the shoulder, bring me over a full pint of Guinness, and say, "Can I have a word with you?" And I'll say yes, as long as there's another one in the barrel, and we can have that discussion. I'll quite happily argue with someone if they're gonna lube me up for the weekend.
Right. So, which Berwick rider is going to win SGB2?
Well, there's only one in it. Oh, no, there's two. Sorry. Ooh. I tell you what, I would really like to see both of them do well. I think Jonas is already, he's in the SGP2. So I would like to see Jonas do well there. But at the same time, I would like to see Leon. If Leon wins the race, that's like a world championship victory to me. I'll still be running off Saturday night's intake. I'll be pretty excited. I can say that, because I'm not an up and coming star. As you can see, I'm just.
Good sure. Greg Hancock went till he was 49. You still got another 18 years to go, pal.
Greg Hancock wasn't he doing that, was he? Let's face it. But I will be excited to see Leon do well. And you know what? Because of the league I'm riding in, I can honestly say, if the SGP2 is a better meeting than the main event, it's a win for the development leagues, because let's face it, the under 21s is a development Grand Prix. So if we see some pretty good racing there on the Sunday, it's a win for Speedway all round. And I don't mean to say that as like a guy from neutral. Of course, I'd like to see Jonas do well. Of course, I'd like to see Leon do well. But if we can actually showcase the fact that Speedway on a whole is good entertainment to watch, then we've won. And I'll be happy with that. So no, that's my views on it, and I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a great weekend.
Okay, a couple of questions before you go. First one: who was the British junior? That back then it was under 21, but who was the equivalent of Leon Flint back in 1980?
Oh. Now, I'm not going to say Mark Courtney, because I know that's your favourite rider.
Courtney. You should have said Mark Courtney.
Well, that was obvious, wasn't it?
It was. And who was the second in the European Championship of 1982?
There's another name.
No,
it's not.
It's the same one. It's the same one. Trust me, it's the same one.
Mark Courtney again.
Yeah. And when you see some of the riders that he beat to get second place, people like Peter Rawn, who obviously held a string of track records, Jano Pedersen.
Oh yeah, yep.
Yeah.
Who was world champion in 1990?
Yep.
Is that right?
I think you're right there. Yeah, because he didn't ride.
Yeah, because it was the year I was born. It was the year I was born. So Jano Pedersen was the world champion in 1990, and then 1991 was. I used to know this. I used to know all of them. 92 was Gary Havelock. 93 was Sam Ermolenko. 94 was Tony Rickarson's first one. 95 was Greg Hancock. 96 was, oh God, Johnny Swales is going to be messaging me shortly because he knows all of them. I can't remember who won in 1991. Anyway, that's a good pub quiz thing. That whoever can get them bang on is a good one.
No, but the point is that okay, Mark Courtney rode for Middlesbrough back then, but he was also in the Middlesbrough team that lost to Berwick in the cup final that year.
It doesn't matter if you've got a world championship rider in your team. It matters who the other 6 are, and that says it all.
Because we've been having we've been having a bit of debate as to who was the greatest 7-man Berwick team. There's a lot of discussion. Was it the 1980 team, the 1989 or the 1991 Gold Cup winning team that was featured? Obviously, Kelvin and
Paul Bentley.
Not in 91. No, it was Richard Knight.
No, yes.
Dave Blackburn. I think Dave Walsh. Was Dave Walsh still with us then? I think he was. But certainly, Kevin Little wasn't in. Obviously, all 3 of them. Obviously, no. But one man was in all 3 of those teams.
Mark Courtney.
No, well, yeah, he was in the Middlesbrough team that lost to Berwick.
Yeah. And who was the main man that was in the Berwick team then?
Well, the main man for Berwick for all 3 of those cup wins was the sheep eater himself, Rob Grant Senior.
The sheep eater. I like it. Well, I'll tell you what, Paul, as we end, I'm just going to let you see the beautiful view that I've had basically all day. And for the first time for viewers...
Go on. Yeah.
There she is.
That's an even better view.
Hello.
The cracking view, isn't it?
Yeah, cracking view. Everybody is jealous.
I would, well, I could imagine so. So we'll bid you farewell, and we'll probably have a Cardiff rundown and discussion of that, and hopefully we can get Leon again instead of the. So yeah.
Do you know? He just made his normal sense, to tell the truth.
Yeah, he did, didn't he? That's usually his interview style, isn't it? So
he's
no worries.
He's given me a bit stick note lately, so I'm gonna dish it back.
Yeah, good lad. Right, well, we'll speak to you again, and from myself and Sarah, it is goodbye, and everyone going to Cardiff, we'll probably catch up with you then. All right.
Cheers, mate. Bye for now.
Cheers. Bye.